Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are going to go through my Ashes prediction. Now obviously the Ashes are probably the biggest sporting rivalry in terms of cricket in the world. Maybe you could say Pakistan-India at the World Cup. It had a ridiculous amount of viewers, so you might have an argument for that, but for me, the Ashes, just for the pure history of it, it's got to be it. Now, the first test starts on Wednesday at the Gabba, and I'm really excited for it. The teams had their photos together the other day, and it looked a bit like taking a family reunion sort of photo. Everyone was a bit nervous and a bit awkward around each other. These guys aren't really, I mean, they are a bit now, but they're not really supposed to be mates, and it looked a bit like they were sort of trying to convey it that way, but obviously they'd be a bit friendly playing IPL and all that together now. Australia have already picked their first lineup for that Gabba test. I think they went safe. I think you could predict what they were going to go with. I personally maybe would have gone with Usman Khawaja over Travis Head. I probably maybe would have picked Jai Richardson over Stark, but then again, all the reports coming out of the Australian camp are that Mitchell Stark has been swinging miles leading up, so you give him the chance. I do like the fact that they picked Harris. Obviously, if Pekovsky was there, they would be picking him over him, I think. But I think it's a pretty well-balanced lineup. Travis Head obviously has quite a bit to prove, but he's not without talent. He averages nearly 40 at test level, so I think he'll go all right. And I'm interested to see Cam Green. He loves playing at the Gabba, and as a West Australian myself, I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting his maiden ton there. Obviously, a lot of the big talk around Australia lately with their lineup has been about the captaincy, and with Carey coming in for Payne, I probably, again, would have gone for Inglis, being 26. They've got roughly the same first-class averages. I think Inglis has been crucified by the fact that he got picked to play in that T20 World Cup, and he didn't really get any consistent cricket for quite a while now, which meant that they probably had to pick Carey in the end. I think Carey will do a fantastic job. He's a really good keeper in his own right, and he's been heir apparent for quite some time, and he's got a quite calm head on his shoulders for if there's any potential collapses, which we know will come, and hopefully he can do that Brad Haddin kind of role there that we've probably missed for a while, with Tim being picked more as a gloveman and a leader rather than a batter. In terms of the captaincy, that's been the big debate. I think Paddy Cummins will do, again, a great job. I probably would have gone with Steve Smith, but there is a lot of people within Australia that are of the firm belief, once you've crossed that cheating line, that you can't really come back and lead, and I understand that. I personally think I could look past it. But then again, in my mind, I look at Warner, who Smith was responsible for, and I don't think I'd want him in a leadership role. So that's a bit hypocritical from my thinking, but so I think they probably made the right diplomatic call to go with Paddy, and it's the first fast bowler to do it for a long time, and I'm hoping he does a good job. Hopefully, I think he might under-bowl himself a little bit, which I really hope he doesn't, as he's just one of the best in the world. It'll be interesting to see if Paddy breaks down at all, because obviously then Smith would be captain, and that I think would be quite interesting to see how the public react, considering a lot of higher profile people have come out and said they're not even happy that he's vice captain. So that'll be something to wait and see what's happening, but I think those two will do a good job together. Moving on to England's lineup now. This I find very fascinating, because I still, a couple of days out, don't quite know where they're going to go. Probably when this video comes out, it probably would have been released, but obviously they've got Root in the middle there, who hasn't really succeeded when he's come to Australia. He's had quite a few lean series, but his form of late generally in world cricket has been top notch. He's probably the most informed batter in the world, with Smith and Labuschagne not having a lot of cricket in terms of test level, and Virat hasn't made a ton in quite a while. So that's something Australia's got to look out for. I think Rory Burns could really suit the conditions in Australia. But around those two, and obviously Ben Stokes I'll talk about a bit later, I think there might be a few wickets Australia could clutch. I think his opening partner, Hamid, will struggle. I think he'll get found out a little bit by the pace of Australia. And their middle order, like the other two around 4 and 5, I don't know if the likes of Lawrence and Pope and the likes, I don't think that they're quite going to cut it. So it's really going to be left up to Burns, Root and Stokes, I think, in terms of their batting. With their bowling, it's got to be rotated quite carefully, I think, because obviously they want James Anderson to play that second test in Adelaide. So are they worried, do they need to not play him at the Gabba and get those quicker bowlers like Wood and Overton and Broad in, and maybe leave Jimmy to be nice and fresh for their most winnable game in Adelaide, I think. So that'll be interesting to see how they go there. Obviously they would like Jimmy there game 1 though. The areas England have a massive advantage is obviously Joss Butler is world class. He's probably the best keeper in the world right now, especially in the shorter formats, but I think on Australian wickets he can still be just as damaging. And then obviously, as I spoke about before, Ben Stokes is that genuine all-rounder who is very damaging both sides of the equation, whereas Cam Green is a genuine batsman who, he can bowl that quicker pace, but he's bowled 40 overs, I think, at Test level and still hasn't got a wicket yet. And even at state level, now that he's changed his action a bit, he's not quite what he was when he first came in and got that 5-run debut against Tasmania. So Australia, I think, need to be quite careful because obviously they haven't had that continuous cricket that England have had over the last year. We haven't played since we played India. And these guys are probably going to show a little bit of rust. It wouldn't surprise me if at the Gabba we have a little bit of a collapse because someone like Smith or Warner, they haven't played this length of cricket for quite a while. Marnus, I think, will probably star for the series. I don't think Smith and Warner won't, but he's had that Shield cricket leading in that I think will hold him in good stead. Same with Head and Green, although I'm not sure about Head when it comes to getting close to his body, and he tends to go for that cut shot where it's not quite there. Let's have a look at a few players that I think might be under a bit of pressure this series to perform. For Australia, I think there are quite a few actually. David Warner, he had a very good World Cup in the end, but I think it might be his last series in Australia. He might still do the subcontinent series. He's a very good player of spins, but I don't think he'll be back for another summer in Australia. Obviously, he gets talked about quite negatively. I personally have my own negative opinions about him, but he has been one of Australia's greatest players of the modern generation. I think he has over 8,000 runs, something like that. So I hope he can perform, but Stuart Broad has tended to have the wood over him. So, but we'll see how that goes. Obviously, Travis Head being picked over Usman Khawaja. He's under a lot of pressure. I know he averages, as I said before, just under 40 at Test level, but he's gotten himself to good starts too many times without continuing on. He does it at Shield level as well. I really hope a guy with his talent can take that next step because, if he was still in the side, if he never got dropped, he was probably going to be captain right now, when you think of it that way. So he's missed a bit of a chance where his career could have been. I don't think Alex Carey should be under too much pressure now they picked him. I think he should play all 5 games with no pressure on him, unless his glove work is bad, but it won't be. He's a very good player. And same with Cam Green. He should just be playing all 5 tests unless his body gives up. Just let him play as much test cricket as they can get into him. In terms of the bowlers, Nathan Lyon is someone that his bowling last summer, he would admit he didn't get the job done when Australia probably needed him to. That's not all his fault. India managed to get 400 something on a 5th day Sydney wicket. That's unheard of. So, maybe there was something in the wicket from that as well, but he himself would admit he needs to probably perform this series ahead of a long journey during the subcontinent next year where he should shine. It should be a really good year for Nathan Lyon if he can just get through this Ashes. And then Mitchell Starc is the other one. He's such a talented bowler, and they want that left armour in the squad, but there's a few guys, Sean Abbott, Jai Richardson, Michael Neither, all sort of at the door, banging it down, waiting for their opportunity, and he would want to have. He'll probably get there for the first 2 games, and then they'll decide from there. For England, it'll be very interesting to see how they go. Do they pick Leach or do they pick Bess? How did the opening batters go? I do like Rory Burns, but he's probably not too far from getting dropped if he has a bad series. A lot of their batters are in that sort of situation, apart from Root, Stokes and Butler. I think other than that, all those spots are really up for the grabs. Their bowling unit is quite good, actually. They've got quite good variety that they can sort of swap and change between games, unlike Australia really have. I think Australia love using that big 3, and they don't generally go away from it, but England don't really have any problems with dropping Broad or Anderson based on conditions, and they've got some really different options with Robinson and Wood and Wokes all through there, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. I'm looking forward to it. So my prediction for the series is actually going to be a 3-1 win for Australia. I know I've touched on a few negatives that could impact Australia through, but ultimately they're in their backyard. I think our strength of batting is probably better overall, and definitely our bowling suits the conditions a bit better. Not to say England can't win. I think Stokes, Butler, Root, Burns, and then if someone like Bairstow taps in as well, then they've definitely got a big chance. I think there's a lot of media sort of writing off England when they're definitely more of a chance than they think. I think Australia probably get the first test done at the Gabba, and then England level it in Adelaide, but then Australia will work it out from there, and they'll probably get the next 2 wins, and the last one will probably be a draw in Hobart or Melbourne, where they haven't, now that Perth lost the test, which is unfortunate, but it's WA backed themselves into a corner, and McGowan couldn't really take the test from the rules he set. I think player of the series for me, I'm backing Steve Smith to come and make runs. Is anyone going to really be surprised? He makes Ashes runs for fun, and I think he'll do it again. He averages something ridiculous against England, and he would be hungry. I think that first test he might struggle a little bit, but he'll find his groove pretty quick, as we know. From an England point of view, if they want to, I think Rory Burns, I really like him as a player. He made some successful runs over the England summer. Whether he can carry that to Australia, I think he can, but I'm not sure that Joe Root, I think he's probably got those demons still there from previous tours in Australia, but I hope he can make some runs, because he is, as I said, he's been the best batter in the world for a little bit of time now, and I hope he can sort of break that monkey off the back, but if he does, I think he'll make a ton of runs, not just 100, he'll probably make a few. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. I really hope that it's a good Ashes. The last one was incredible to watch. We were all glued to it the entire time. Sorry for the lack of content of late. There are 3 or 4 more videos that I have already recorded that will be out soon, and one very quickly where I get absolutely disgustingly drunk, so enjoy that. I'm sure it'll be fun for all involved. But other than that, we'll see you then.